If you truly want to move ahead of 90% of people and become mentally sharper, wiser, and more powerful in your thinking, then the real transformation begins the moment you stop reacting instantly to everything around you and start observing silently instead. Most people lose their advantage not due to a lack of intelligence, but due to uncontrolled reactions. Emotional impulses, wounded egos, and a shallow understanding of the systems they live inside. Think about it. The average person reacts to criticism with anger, to disagreement with defensiveness, to opportunity with doubt, and to pressure with panic. But the person who chooses to observe quietly gains something invisible, yet extremely valuable: perspective. And perspective is what separates emotional thinkers from strategic minds. When you pause instead of reacting, you give your brain time to analyze patterns, motives, intentions, power structures, and the hidden dynamics that most people miss. In that silence, you begin to see how conversations are not just words, but positioning. How success is not just talent, but timing and leverage. How influence is not loudness, but calculated restraint. You start to understand how the world truly operates on incentives, psychology, and silent negotiations, not just on surface appearances. One of the biggest barriers to becoming truly intelligent is the ego. The ego wants to prove, defend, interrupt, correct, and dominate. Wisdom, on the other hand, prefers to listen, collect data, and respond strategically. Every person and every situation, even from those who seem less knowledgeable than you. Intelligence grows through curiosity, not superiority. When you stop trying to appear smart and start trying to understand deeply, your questions change from shallow to transformative. Instead of asking, "Who is right?" you ask, "What is really happening here?" Instead of asking, "How do I win this argument?" you ask, "What outcome benefits me in the long term?" Instead of asking, "Why did they say that?" you ask, "What motivates their behavior?" These deeper questions unlock mental doors that reactive people never even discover. Over time, you begin to develop a rare ability to read situations before others do. This skill alone can move you far ahead in business, relationships, academics, and leadership. While most people are chasing validation and instant emotional relief, you are building strategic awareness. Awareness creates control. Control creates power, and power used wisely creates success. The beauty of silent observation is that it also trains your emotional discipline. Instead of letting anger, jealousy, fear, or excitement control your decisions, you analyze them like data. You ask yourself, "Why am I feeling this? What triggered it? What response will serve me best?" In doing so, you shift from being controlled by your emotions to managing them consciously. This emotional mastery alone gives you an enormous advantage in negotiations, conflicts, and high-pressure environments. Remember, the calmest mind in the room usually wins. When you combine this silence with thoughtful questioning, you sharpen your thinking even further. Powerful questions challenge assumptions, expose weaknesses in logic, reveal blind spots, and force deeper reflection. The habit of asking better questions rewires your brain to think critically rather than just accept information passively. It's about connecting patterns, identifying incentives, and predicting outcomes. And those abilities grow strongest in minds that observe more than they speak. Another powerful shift happens when you stop reacting publicly and start processing privately. You protect your reputation from impulsive mistakes. You maintain your composure in tense moments. And you gain the psychological upper hand by revealing less than you know. People may even start to underestimate you, which becomes a huge advantage because underestimated individuals can move freely without resistance. As months pass, this discipline transforms your identity. You become harder to manipulate, harder to provoke, and harder to distract. But you become easier to respect because quiet confidence speaks much louder than emotional noise. You'll start noticing that 90% of people repeat predictable behavior patterns, driven by ego, insecurity, or habit. Meanwhile, You operate from a place of observation, strategy, and intentional response. The gap between you and them widens naturally, not because you're louder or argue better, but because you think deeper. The world rewards those who understand systems, who recognize leverage, who respond with patience, who question assumptions, who analyze incentives, and who keep their ego in check long enough to see the bigger picture. Eventually, you'll realize that true intelligence isn't immediately visible. It compounds silently, like interest. It strengthens through restraint, curiosity, pattern recognition, and disciplined thinking. The moment you commit to observing before reacting, listening before speaking, analyzing before judging, and questioning before concluding, you begin stepping into a level of mental maturity that most people will never reach. They're too busy reacting to ever pause, and too proud to question themselves. And in that simple shift lies the real advantage, the quiet edge that moves you ahead of 90% of people without ever announcing it. In a world addicted to instant reactions, the rare person who chooses silence, understanding, and intelligent questioning becomes unstoppable, not through noise, but through clarity. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content on mastering your mind. See you in the next one.